Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a banger for you today. We have the results of last week's game for the Broncos as they head into their bye week. We're going to talk to Bronco Libre, who was at the game, and he's going to tell us what the feeling was at Mile High, what there is to look forward to going into the bye week, what's there to look forward to after the bye week, and of course, your favorite segment, which is Broncos Talk Overtime Returns, where we let you know who's in the lead in the standings, and we make our predictions for next week's game. So please make sure that your food is warm, that your beer is cold, and that you're comfortable as hell, because you are not going to want to get a miss any second of this. And I know I messed up, but I don't really care, because see, Johnny says that we can see the beautiful thing about doing these like little things right here is like it's an ad lib. So nothing is written down. It's not scripted, you know, even though sometimes you guys do hear me say all the same thing all the time, but that's because you know, Johnny, he cracks the whip pretty hard. You know, he might not look it, but he's like 7 feet tall in person. If you don't do what he says, he rings you like in the neck like a chicken, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, get ready, because here we go. And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which direction you're watching, is my co-host, the man of the hour, the man who, if you look on my TikTok profile, I probably claim is my best friend, the Bronco Libre.
What's happening, Broncos country? Oh my gosh, what a Sunday it was. Can't wait for to be able to express the atmosphere that was there in Mile High Stadium.
You see what happens when we don't let Johnny Baki get near the games, Libre? We actually win. I know he was at a couple of them, but we just kind of got lucky. But eventually, you know, they're like, all right, we're winning. These games are getting a little too close. You got to go home.
They're like, and now you got to stay there in Tennessee.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that me and him aren't allowed in Indianapolis anymore.
Not if the Broncos are there at the same time, no.
I think so. But ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time here, welcome in. If not, welcome back. Before we get started with everything we have to talk about, that fantastic win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and of course, here Libre's experience at the field. If this is your first time here, we have a couple of things we got to get out of the way like we do just before the start of every single show. So please bear with us. First of all, we'd like to ask you if you could please subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all of the channels and videos we have for you guys to watch here on the Orange and Blue Network. The beautiful thing about being here, folks, is that we have a variety of things for you guys to see, do, and interact with. So you'll never be bored. There's countless content coming your way every single week, sometimes with exceptions, you know, because stuff happens. But the majority of the time, we're constantly pumping out content for you guys to watch, see, and enjoy. So please show your support for us here on the network. If there's anything you guys hear us say that you agree or don't agree with, please feel free to hit up that comment section, and we will get back to you with our answers ASAP. For our audio listeners, whichever platform you're listening to, doesn't matter where it is, 5-star reviews are always well appreciated for us here for whatever episode you're listening to. And if you'd like to send a screenshot of that review, you can send it to our socials. Our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom of the screen. If you can't see them, mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 52AT. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Also, Libre and I would like to say thanks to the sponsor of today and all the shows here on the network, which is Dubby. Ladies and gentlemen, W has no sugar, calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. It's formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor formula, which is the caffeine derived directly from the coffee fruit. And if you do it right now, like right now, or after the show, if you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off at checkout. Shout out to W and the guys over at the Nothing Rhymes With podcast for hooking us up with this amazing offer. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going just a little bit past the second half of the season. The Broncos are on a bye week this coming week heading into the holiday, but we still have a schedule for you. If you've never seen this show before, never heard it, we're going to run down everything that you guys can catch once we're not on the air, depending on the day. Please keep in mind that all the times I'm going to repeat are in Mountain Time. So first, on Mondays, we have the Orange and Blue Blitz at Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m., and then on Mondays at 7 p.m., we have the Hey, Do You Even Bronco Bro? The Broncos Bro podcast. Tuesdays at 7:30, we have the flagship show, which is the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast. And then on Wednesdays, for those of you that are Avalanche and Nuggets fans, we have the Mile High Symposium with the guys breaking down everything that's Broncos sports. Wednesdays at 2:30, just before we go on the air at 6. And then on Thursdays, we have the Mile High Oukast, which airs at 7. Then on Fridays, we have Viva los Broncos, which is the all-Spanish podcast show this Friday at 7 p.m. And then for any breaking news that happens in Broncos country, the Fresh Squeeze comes live to you right away, bringing you all the up-to-speed breaking news that happens in Broncos country. And then, just like always, we have a pregame show, the Get Bucked pregame show, where we break down all the stuff heading into that week's game. Then we also have a new show called The Bucking Booth that breaks down the play-by-play for those of you that are unable to watch the game and you want to not miss a single part of the action. Johnny and the guys have you covered. And then, of course, we have the post-game show, which is the post-game show every single game day right after the game, regardless of the result. First thing is not promised, but so far, thankfully, Libre, we have been curse-free these last 8 games.
Yeah.
So, Libre, we got to ask, man, how was the feeling, the momentum? What was going on at Mile High for this really anticipated game that everybody was waiting to see and watch?
You know, first and foremost, we have the longest sellout streak in the NFL with about 459 games, I think, in a row. So that's dating back to like 1970. So this in particular game itself, we had 201 no-shows for the game, which that is awesome, spectacular. Broncos country showed up and showed out. There wasn't that many Kansas City fans as I thought they were going to be, because normally over the last several years, there have been pretty much a lot of Kansas City fans that were in the stadium. This game, there was not as many as I was expecting. But let me tell you, this is probably one of the loudest games I've ever attended here at Mile High Stadium, the Empower Field at Mile High Stadium. It was intense. The electricity that was in there. I saw people already on that first drive when we got them 3 and out and so forth, and how loud that we were going in there and saying incomplete and so forth. There were some of the Bronco reporters that I actually follow were posting videos of their water bottle shaking. And like, dang, this is the loudest, like, you know, this stadium is crazy on how loud it was. I think even the broadcast itself, Tony Romo was like even saying something about it as well, which it was just phenomenal. So excited. It was so exciting just to be there, to have Broncos country there, to be able to show up and show out and to say, look, we now own the West again. Like, yes, you guys might have took over it just over for the last 9 years. We allowed you guys to do that, but now we're just taking it over and having it set for us itself.
I got to tell you, Libre, watching that game from home, I was on the edge of my seat from the starting whistle all the way to that feed. There's just something about watching Will Lutz line up. I don't know about you, Libre, but my mind literally jumped back to last year and watching. It's almost like deja vu. Exact same scenario. The only thing that's different was the location. But the momentum was the same. The results were going to be the same. And I just remember, like, I didn't want to get my hopes up, Libre, is what I'm trying to say, because I know how I felt at the end of that game last year. Like, I felt like complete crap. And to quote something that one of my friends said, he says, you know what? I would much rather have my team lose by like 30, 40 points than to lose by 1, because losing by 1 hurts like a mofo.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so right, because I remember I carried that pain with me for God knows how long, probably up until the next Broncos game. But that's how much it hurt.
No, I agree with you 100%. And this is one thing that I didn't know at the time that this was happening. How you were saying everything was the same. The crazy thing about it was the exact same distance, 35 yards out. It was, everything about the whole scenario. I didn't know that at the time. And so we were trying to get out of the parking lot or whatnot. And we were listening to the radio, and then hearing that on the radio, they said, oh yeah, the same exact yardage, the same, everything leading up to that was the same. And we're like, dang, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It was a 35-yard field goal that we got blocked and whatnot. And I'm like, Will Lutz, like he that game itself, that's why he won Special Team Player of the Week, is because of what he was able to do and all the field goals he did make. Yes, we want to get more points on there, but we have him on the team. He showed up, he showed out, and he won the game. And I want to give out a special shout out actually to my son, because we're at tailgating. He goes, man, I'm so nervous for this game itself, but I'm going to predict the score right now. The Broncos are going to win 24-21 with the last second field goal for the win. And right as soon as we were about to kick it, I go, bro, look at what you just did. You just called it out. I go, you called that the Broncos are going to win by this field goal. Yeah, the score was 22-19, but he was close enough. Like, I was like, Dan, you got it right on, which was ridiculous. I was like, man, you just called this game. I go, I need to take you to Vegas. The best part about
I was about to say, how did you not go buy a lottery ticket, Libre? That's
so like the best part about this right now, like what I was going into about that is that he actually turns 21 on Friday. So that's why I'm not going to be here part of the show, is because we're going to be celebrating his 21st birthday. And then we're going to have to go up to the casinos here in Colorado. And I was like, all right, you're going to have to rub this machine for me, or this table. Like, we're going to go in there and win some money, because you just called out the score and the prediction of the game-winning field goal.
So if we see you after the break with an all-gold mask, we're going to assume that you won some money in the casino, huh?
Yeah, or it might just be platinum. You never know.
Platinum Libre.
There you go.
But once I saw that kick go right down the middle, Libre, it all felt good. Like, to reminisce about the pain from a year ago, to go from that to winning, and not just winning, continuing the win streak, which we are tied currently with the Patriots, putting the Broncos ahead as the number 1 team in the AFC currently, and that's probably going to change if the Patriots win on Sunday, and just pretty much making sure that the Chiefs don't continue to become a problem for the Broncos, because for the last 9 seasons, all we've been hearing is Kansas City, AFC West champions, Kansas City. And it has been such an annoying thing. It's been annoying for us as Broncos fans. It's been annoying for Raiders fans. It's been annoying for whatever Chargers fans are left after Sunday. But it just felt, to me, the thing that I love most about this victory, Libre, is the fact that now the Broncos got some respect put on their name. Because up until that game, we've just been hearing the same thing from analysts and podcasters alike outside of Broncos country, that the Broncos they weren't taking them seriously, that they were the worst 8-2 team in the league because of their schedule, because of the teams that they've beaten, because of the score. And you guys have heard us talk about it last week. For those that heard me rant about it in Spanish on Friday, it's pretty much the same thing. The Broncos needed to go out and beat a team like the Chiefs, because so far, Libre, the Broncos have beaten the Eagles and the Chiefs, the two teams that were competing for a Super Bowl just a couple of months ago. The Broncos beat both of them. So there should be no doubt in anybody's mind about putting this team down. I do not want to hear about them being the worst 9-2 team. I don't want to hear them complaining about our offense. Yes, the offense is not where it's supposed to be. I'll give you that. But they are putting enough points on the board where they are winning games. And again, let me reiterate to you guys, whether you win by 1 point or you win by 30, that win, that dub is still the same freaking thing. You're not going to get more points because you won by a certain amount of points. That's just something that we as football fans, of course, we all want to see high-scoring games. But then again, most high-scoring games happen because the defenses aren't that good. So I will gladly take what we're doing currently. And dare I say, Libre, we're really, really living with Super Bowl dreams.
You're not wrong. We are. And like I was actually saying to chat earlier, right as soon as we're starting the show, somebody mentioned like, oh, how does it feel that was your Super Bowl on Sunday? I'm like, you know what? Like, you may think that I like the way you're thinking, that you're still downgrading that the Broncos are not that good of a team. But I said, and I'll reiterate this: what wins championships? The defense. Defense wins you championships. That's what happened to us in 2015 when we won Super Bowl 50. Our defense was the best defense in the league. Our offense that year was not that good. 2 years ago, prior to that, in 2013, we had the best offense in the whole league. You know, we're breaking records and all that, but we didn't end up winning the Super Bowl, you know. But 2 years later, our defense was there, top tier, no fly zone, and we won it. And I'm going to continue to say that as well. Yes, our offense might be struggling, but if you're looking right now, and I feel like Bo Nix is starting to get into the rhythm right now and actually setting his feet and getting what he needs to do to get the ball placement, because if you looked at the previous couple of weeks prior to this game, he was struggling and placing his feet and getting the ball out and whatnot. This game is that one-step improvement that is needed for him to continue to get better and better. And I feel like with what our schedule is, we're only going to get better. We're going to excel. We're going to be rolling into the playoffs. Super excited. Like, they're going to be in there. Nobody's going to want to face us. I just heard this podcast earlier, or this one of the shows asking, and this is like from New England. These are guys from New England. They're saying, would you rather play the Broncos in Denver or the Colts here in New England? And of course, they right away, both the guys said, no, we want to see the Indy here in New England, because we don't want to go to Denver and play Denver with that defense on the road itself. And also he said, going back to the Brady era, the times that they've actually came into Denver, New England has never won a game here in the playoffs in Denver. And it's facts. Look it up. It's so facts. They're like, Brady was 0-3 here in Denver in the playoffs. And they don't want to come here, especially against our defense, especially with our home advantage that we now have with not only the altitude itself, but the fans. Like, let me tell you, because those are going to be exciting times once we have a playoff game, because it's already been said, it doesn't matter where it's at. We're already preparing for a home playoff game, at least one. Because we're going to be division champs, and we're going to have at least one home playoff game. If it is the number one seed, and it'd be the second round, the divisional round, or it's the wild card. It's going to happen, though, and it's going to be exciting, and I can't wait for it, because playoff football here in Denver is amazing.
Agreed, my friend. Let's get to some of these comments before I get to my next point. Shai Vargas saying, how about them Broncos? Yes, sir.
Let's go!
Indeed. Jeremy Martin jumping in saying Chiefs are done. My high salute to you, Jeremy, and Shy Vargas as well. Our good friend D-Rock saying, hey, Don and Libre. D-Rock,
D-Rock, what's happening, my brother? Let's go.
Jeremy jumping in saying they will be done by Thanksgiving. D-Rock saying block kick for block kick. Jeremy also saying, I don't see us losing again until next year. That's wishful thinking. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Tim Dog saying, what up, fellas?
What up, Tim Dog?
D-Rock saying, we're the best in the entire league. And Jeremy saying, and now the Raiders are playing for a first-round draft pick, LOL. Well, one thing I wanted to mention to you, Libre, I think it's time we have to have a serious talk about Riley Moss. I know a lot of people have been really, ragging on him. And I know I've been trying to defend him the best of my ability. But what we've been seeing out of Riley Moss these last couple of games, Libre, it's kind of like, what's going on there? I don't know if it's them, like, because the fact that Patrick Mahomes threw his way, and he had to have known that was going to definitely draw a flag, and it did. And that's really what gave them their first touchdown, was the fact that really insane penalty. And then it happened again. The one with McMillan, I don't blame, because McMillan was in coverage. It was just kind of one of those, he got the best of him type of things. And, shout out to Tyquan Thornton. That guy's going to be a hell of a player in the league. But McMillan should more than made up for it in that interception before the end of the half. But do you think that maybe it's time that the Broncos start kind of looking at Riley Moss in terms of like having to sit him down and say, hey, the flags they're killing us, because the penalties are still starting to be a problem, or still continuing to be a problem for this team, whether it's from the defense or the offensive side, Libre. They still have to work to clean that up. And I know it's more than likely that we'll get Patrick Surtain back after the break. But even then, obviously PS2 can't be on both sides of the field. So do you think that it's time to kind of worry or panic over the flags that Riley Moss, the amount of penalties he's been accruing over these last couple of games?
Of course, that is a huge, huge concern with Riley Moss. Mm-hmm. I saw the stat that Riley Moss has 9 PIs this year. The next closest one in the league is 5. So almost doubling the amount of PIs that he has. But again, if you go back and you look at just all his numbers and the number of actual attempts that go his way, he's actually one of the top corners in the league, as well as being a defender. Yeah, granted, he has all these PIs. That's only because of how much is going towards his way. But I can also say probably 2 or 3 of those PIs could have been BS calls. One of the things that I did like what he did say after this game, I don't know if you saw the his post interview, mm-hmm. that he took responsibility of it. Mm-hmm. And, that just shows to me that he understands what's going on. He takes responsibility, and that is only going to make him grow as a player as well. That's going to help him build his craft for the rest of the year itself, because now he already has it in his mind that he needs to get that corrected. And if you have a corner or you have a player that doesn't realize what he's doing and think that they should be called and or shouldn't be called or whatnot, and saying, you know what, they're just picking on me, that I think that this is what's happening because we have PS2 on the other side. I love that he actually took ownership of this and says, you know what, this is what I need to do. Yes, this is what I did. I need to correct it. And that's the best part I can say. I don't have a true concern for this in particular year itself. If it happens to continue to go on, say, into next year, and if he's not improving himself by then at that point, yes, I'm going to say, yes, let's go ahead and say, this is a concern. Why are we getting so many penalties against you now? Let's get this corrected, or we're going to put someone else in. And the league is going to be, it's just the league in general is, what have you done for me lately? And if you're just giving us penalties and you're going to cost us games, then at that point, yes, we're going to have to get rid of you. We're going to have to take some type of action so that we can get this taken care of, so that a player is not going to be hurting the team and winning games. But we're on an 8-game winning streak right now, so I don't think anything really in that end for this year is going to happen. But again, he's playing at a Pro Bowl level. If you look at number wise, it's phenomenal.
I will agree with you. I'm still not there where a lot of people are. I know his biggest critic is Unc, Shannon Sharp.
Yep.
That man does not like Riley Moss for nothing at all. If you follow him on Twitter like I do, the man was just ripping him. So to me, it's just getting a little bit harder every single week to defend him, Libre. But you bring up good points, and I'm still on Riley Moss's side. But on the other hand, it just hurts when, he commits the PI and he literally moves the team to where the spot of the foul is. And now the entire defense has to work harder to try to defend the red zone. And another thing, Libre, I don't know how you saw it from your end, but I love Hufanga. I think he comes in like a missile. Maybe it's just me, but that attempted tackle on Kelsey it looked like he wasn't even trying. Kind of looked like he just tried to bump him. But is it me, or is it just because Travis Kelsey is like twice Hufanga size?
That is the exact reason I was just going to say. Travis Kelsey is a big guy, and part of the issue is that I know that Hufanga throughout all year long, he's been hitting and he comes in like a wrecking ball, but you can't hit Travis Kelsey high. That's one thing you can't do. He will bull you over like he did with Hufanga, and you have to go at him low. And I don't understand why Hufanga went high on him at that point, because you could just see like he just like shedded him off. It was like he was nothing. And I was like, dang, like he just blew him up and scored that touchdown.
Yeah, I was about to say, usually I thought he was going to hold him, wait until the cavalry got there to take a guy like Kelsey down. Because, again, Kelsey is not as great as people are beefing him up to be in terms of, who he was 5-10 years ago. He's pretty much the check down to Patrick Mahomes. And that's really what he is. And the fact that he got all those passes open, I mean, it still boggles the mind. But then again, I think what's worse for the Chiefs, Libre, is the fact that they thought that this was going to be a walk in the park for them. And they had an advantage over us. We didn't have Alex Singleton because he was out with an illness. And we didn't have PS2. So one of our better linebackers and one of our better cornerbacks was missing. And Mahomes was still unable to take advantage of it like he's done so many times in the past. The only one that almost got away from him was when he just threw that bomb to Xavier Worthy, but his arm was faster than Worthy, and Worthy was there. Like 2 more seconds, Worthy gets he catches that ball. So unfortunately, I think Kansas City is going to go back and lick their chops, their wounds. They have a tough schedule ahead of them before they run into Denver again at home at Arrowhead. But I do think that the Chiefs are now starting to understand and comprehend that they're not the world beaters everybody thinks that they are or were, especially with them coming out of the bye. The momentum that they were building, Libre, was just astronomically crazy, especially from the analysts in the NFL world who were just kind of saying, Mahomes is dangerous coming off of the bye. Same thing with Coach and with Andy Reid. And they were going to be unstoppable, and they were going to go for the number 1 seed, y no sé qué la chingada. And then, boom, the Chiefs get laid right on their ass, and now they're sitting in 3rd place. And if the Raiders weren't such a bad freaking team, they would be trying to give them a run for their money in terms of putting the Chiefs at the very end of the division. But then again, both the Raiders, all 3 teams actually got knocked on their ass. The Chargers probably being the worst of them.
Worst one, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, which we'll talk about later on in this podcast, Libre. But the other thing I wanted to mention to you is we're starting to get towards that part of the season, Libre, where the teams that are, already looking to next year, like your Titans, your Raiders, your Giants, and all that shit. So, sorry. All that stuff.
Baki alert.
Yeah, I know. Baki's going to find me. But they're starting to kind of look at the better teams as coaching staff. Now, Vance Joseph's name has come up plenty of times in terms of, a really, really hot candidate to have on somebody's team as a head coach when the Broncos season is over. So I have a couple of friends who are fans of those teams, and I told them, I said, hey, man, before you guys start reaching out and sending offers for Vance Joseph, I plead you guys to go back and look at his tape from when he was our head coach, because it's one of those things. It's kind of like the Josh McDaniels syndrome is what I call it, where some people are just meant to be offensive or defensive coordinators. Your Vic Fangios, your Josh McDaniels. Vance Joseph falls under one of those categories too, just for the simple fact that when he was the head coach for the Broncos, he wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire. To quote that reporter, just having the time of his life. So I don't, like, me personally, I don't see Vance Joseph going to Tennessee and turning that team around, or the Giants. And God hope not the Raiders, especially if they decide to move on from Pete Carroll. But I
so
just
that's
hope.
like, so
Yeah,
just going off of that real quick, like,
Mhm.
when you have one of these top tier coordinators or whatnot, they already know going in from the position that they are, maybe being a Super Bowl team or having deep runs and having super success where they're at right now. They're going to a team that is in a rebuild type of mode, that they're starting fresh and they're starting at the bottom, knowing that they have to go in and start rebuilding the team itself. And is that what Vance Joseph wants to do at this point in his career? Is that something that does he want a second option of being another head coach in the league? Because, like how you said it is going to be either Tennessee, it is going to be the Giants or whatnot. That that's the opportunity that he's going to have. Yeah, you might have some potential players in there, like my son, like he loves Cam Scadaboo, and he goes, man, that's my guy right there. But it has to be more than just that one guy. You have to be able to do that, because you're going to have to get rid of all that coaching staff. You're going to have to get rid of everything and rebuild this as your own. And if you can't get the type of team or the personnel that's going to be in there to help you succeed, and if you want certain people, you may not be able to get those guys as well. So I think Vance Joseph, for me, and I'm only saying that because I'm a Broncos fan, and no, I don't want him to go. But if he does end up going, nothing but the success for him, except for when he plays us on Sunday.
To quote Bronco Beavis, who's also Michael Binger, says, honestly, think Van is happy here. I don't think he will ever leave. He loves Colorado and he loves the Broncos. Now,
Vivas, you already know.
I have that same sentiment, Michael, but you have to also understand that a lot of people, the hardest thing to do is not fall. I don't know if lust is the right word, but when you hear that Brinks truck backing up, it's really hard to not be tempted to take the money. And if you don't believe me, go ask Myles Garrett how he's currently feeling, because that man could be playing for a Super Bowl contending team right now, but he instead decided to take the money. And you can't tell me that when you see the frustration, the look on that man's face every single game day, watching the Browns lose game after game after game, that he sometimes wishes that maybe he shouldn't have taken the money and decided to go play elsewhere for cheaper, but at a better chance of winning a Super Bowl title while he's still in his prime. So the same thing goes for coordinators. Again, I don't think that Vance Joseph bites on any of those deals. I think that Vance is going to stay in Denver, especially now, because if he wanted to leave, he could have left this year, Libre, to be honest with you, because he was still, he was still pretty much sought out before the season started, but he decided to say, nah, I could be wrong. And he could decide to take another shot at being a head coach elsewhere. And we definitely miss him here in Broncos country, especially if the Broncos win the Super Bowl. That's when everybody becomes more expensive to keep and expendable and all that stuff. So I do hope he sticks around. Lombardi, I mean, would you say that maybe he's a candidate to go coach in another team, Libre?
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think so at this moment, because if you're looking at the offense itself and how it's been playing, it doesn't matter who's been making the play calling, if it is Lombardi or if it is Sean. Like, because the offense hasn't produced the way that we thought that was going to happen this upcoming year, the way the year ended last year, there he's not going to be considered as a head coach as of right now, unless these last 6 games where we go and we put up 40 points a game for these next 6 games, and then going into playoffs and going deep into the playoffs. I think that's the only way that he might get considered for anything. But as of right now, with what happened so far for the first 11 games of the season, no.
I mean, the crazy thing, Libre, is that, the thing that sucks is we're going to have to suffer a whole week without Broncos football, which is almost like punishment. The only thing that worries me kind of about going into this bye week, Libre, is the fact that I really do hope that it doesn't affect our momentum. Because for some teams, a bye week does a lot of good because it gives any injured players more time to heal. But on the other hand, if you're going into the bye with momentum, it's kind of hard to continue going after you've been out for a whole week, and of course they are going to play the Commanders. That game did not get flexed out of Sunday Night Football, which is it's really surprising because I was expecting that game
I was
to get
surprised
flexed
too.
out. But I don't know if the NFL heads are expecting for Jaden Daniels to get better.
You know what? It's not. It doesn't matter about that right now. I think when it came down to it, and it was the network that makes that decision, and not the NFL. So the network was saying, you know what? This Broncos team is probably better television than any other game for that weekend itself. So that's the part of the reason is the NFL has no say in the schedule, the flex of the schedule. It's the network, because they're the ones that are producing it. They're the ones that have it on their station. So because of that, they said, nope, we want the Broncos there, and they are a team that we want to see. And it's real evident as well, because I just heard, I think this morning, I heard about a little over 29 million televisions tuned into the Broncos-Chiefs game this weekend. Yeah. So, and that was the highest rated game. I think they said this season, the most watched game this season up until this for all of the year so far. So, and if the Broncos are not a team to be watching, then why wasn't the schedule flexed out if that wasn't the case? That just tells us that the Broncos are back. And I said this as well during our tailgating. When Bronco country is back, is that I have to get there super real early to get into the tailgate, because the line is already super long just to get in. And then not a lot of opposing fans are there because the Broncos fans are there to watch. And it takes us like 2 hours to leave the stadium after the game as well. So not everyone's leaving early. The only game that so far this year that I've seen anything different was the Giants game, when the Giants fans showed out for that game. But the best thing about it is they all wore blue. And we were wearing orange. So it was a good combination of orange and blue in the stadium. So I loved seeing that. And then when they scored that touchdown, that tip touchdown with 10 minutes left in the game, that's when the mass exodus left. And then we had the greatest comeback in NFL history that had happened. And being able to leave that game was super easy. But all other games have been, a good hour to hour and a half to get out of there. Literally, this last game was about almost 2 hours just to even get out of the parking lot, which was nuts.
I got to admit to you, Libre, I'm not going to lie. Getting out of Mahai Empower Stadium was one of the most annoying things about my trip last time I was there.
And you didn't even park in the lot.
And I didn't even park in the lot. I parked 2 miles away, and I was still in the traffic.
Maybe about 3/4 of a mile, but either way.
I was like, I'm still sitting there. I'm like, I can't even see the stadium from here. How is there still traffic all the way the frick up here?
Yeah, it's just I think the way that the infrastructure is currently set up is not that good. And I think a lot of it to do as well is because of COVID, the RTD, which is the bus rail system here, they stopped doing all the buses that comes from the parking rides and all that. Um, Oh, sorry. I think part of that is a big reason as to why is because they stopped that, and a lot of people use that service, to go to the parking rides that it'd be close to their house, and they just take that to the stadium, and then they get on that to going home. But now that that's gone, I think that's part of why there's so much traffic and so much uh, just trying to get out of there. It just makes it so much worse right now. I just hope that they're going to be able to fix that when they build the new stadium. I know that there's already plans to help with the light rail system and whatnot there. Where they're planning on putting the stadium at, there is already a light rail station there, but it's one of the smaller light rail stations. So I'm hoping that they go in there and actually fix it to be where it's one of a main hub and whatnot for that location itself. Because if they can do that, like it's going to be a lot easier to get in and out. My real true concern is tailgating. I just hope that they be able to allow us to still be able to tailgate, because that's one big factor of why I love going to the games, because I make it a day of it.
The Commanders game, is that in Denver or is that on the road?
That's on the road in Washington or Landover, Maryland.
So the next home game you're going to see, Libre, is the Jaguars?
No, Green Bay.
Oh, Green Bay. So I'm trying to remember the schedule off the top of my head. I know they got the Commanders, and then they have the Raiders.
Commanders, the Raiders, Green Bay, Jacksonville, and then we have the Chiefs, and then the
Chargers.
The Chargers, the little lightning bolts.
Yeah, and I think the Chargers, that's the game that they're going to decide last minute where.
If it's a Saturday or Sunday game.
Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be in Denver because the first game was in L.A. So I'm going to feel sorry for you on that day, Libre, because it's going to be cold as hell in Denver more than likely. January in Denver, it's got to be like it is here in Chicago, man.
It's not, though. We've talked about this.
I know. Remember, I was just trying to make myself feel better.
You know what was funny, though, this weekend, though, is that we saw the game in Chicago, and it was snowing. We're like, damn, I wish it was snowing here, because I love when it's snowing there in Chicago, like, having a snow game, because that's like some of the best elements. And then we go and talk about, damn, if we have a roof, we're not going to have this anymore. It's not going to be as the same. But I was glad to see that, and I'm like, I want to see it. I want to have it snowing here. I love that part of the game, because I stay warm from the inside out.
Yeah,
starting with the chelas. Right here, see?
Enjoy it, because the Bears are moving into their new stadium. I think they're supposed to break ground next year, and they're looking at 2030, I believe. Okay. Out here in Arlington Heights, which is a suburb not too far from my house. So, and they're building a dome because they want to host Super Bowls. So, unfortunately, I really do hope that they don't tear down Soldier Field, because to me, that's still, that still means a lot to a whole other people, because it's not just for Bears games. They do concerts there, they do soccer games there. So hopefully Soldier Field remains the same.
Well, isn't it considered a national landmark?
I believe so.
So if it is considered like already a national landmark, then they can't. I don't think they can tear it down if it's set up that way. Like the city has to approve certain things if it is or whatever in order to do it. But like if it's considered like a national landmark, then they can't do that. But and again, I know that the Mile High Stadium where it's currently at, it's going to go away, because they're going to use it. The city owns that land, so they're going to want to repurpose it to get it into maybe housing, do all that. But they won't keep it there. If they didn't keep the old Mile High, which was just right next to it. So it's going to be here in Denver, they'll definitely destroy it.
You know what? I keep forgetting to, every time I go, Libre, to try to figure out where the old Mile High Stadium was, because Like I'm picturing it in my head, but I don't know where I'm supposed to look.
Okay, so you were there. Did you actually walk around the stadium at all?
Yeah, I walk around stadium every time.
So do you remember seeing that little mini mile high that was out there in the north stands, in the north parking lot? There's a replica stadium that's out there in the parking lot, in the north parking lot area.
It's not the one where the tribute statues are, right? And where the parking lot is.
No, that's the south stands. So it's on the other side. It's on the other side of the stadium. It has a bronze statue of the Barrel Man and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where Mile High Stadium was standing. So that's just a little that's a little replica of where the stadium was at. Yeah, at.
D-Rock has a question here for us, Libre. He says, fellas, thoughts on Brandon Cooks potentially coming to Denver? I'm not too crazy on that, to be honest with you, D-Rock. If the Broncos are going to aim high in free agency, like I think they will, because now they'll officially be done with the Russell Wilson acquisition, so no more paying him any more money, they should be able to go get a top-tier wide receiver in free agency because they're going to have the money to do so. Nothing against Brandon Cooks. I know in his heyday he was really good and, and he can be a deep threat, but there's a reason why I don't even think he's signed to a team currently, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. If I feel like the Broncos have a whole lot better options out there than Brandon Cooks. And I do hope they go out and find some, because if it's one thing that the Broncos really need to stretch out the field, Libre, it's a speedster. Like if you can get like an Xavier Worthy out there for the Broncos.
But we have Marvin Mims back. Going back to him being missed over the last several weeks, just see what he was able to do on the special teams, because the last couple of weeks with special teams, we were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But look what he did on the very first play opportunity that he had. That 60-plus yard run that he had. Like, we knew we were back and we were going to have a great day. And me and my buddy were talking about it there when that happened. And we were like, man, this is what we missed. This is the guy that we needed back here. I'm just glad that he's back now. And Marvin Mims can be that guy if we're going to need that speedy guy, because he's going to be that speedy guy to be that deep threat. But again, we need to have, and what's funny is my buddy doesn't like to call him Troy Franklin or Franklin at all. He goes, number 11, keeps on dropping the ball. Number 11 keeps on dropping that ball. Like, he needs to do that. He made a good couple of plays late there in the game in order for us to seal this victory. But during the first part of the game, he was dropping some easy passes where he should have just got it. And I did see this one highlight about Mims. This was his breakout game for him. Hopefully he can continue to do that. And they're talking about how Franklin's progression of him being there in high school, being in college, when he switched over to Oregon and doing all that, in his third year, which was the final year where he did really well. And then he got drafted here in the 4th round with us because he was there with Bo. And he just needed time, because he didn't really do much last year as well. It was not relevant at all, basically. He was there here and there, a couple passes, whatever. But they're saying that this was the game that was his breakout game, that it's going to be where hopefully he can continue to do what year 3 he did in Oregon and be able to have that continuity with Bo Nix, to be able to get down the field and be that deep threat that they were while they were in Oregon. Hopefully that can be the same thing here. Hopefully this is potentially the rest of the year that we can get that done. And if that is going to be the case, if he can actually do that, like that, I think is going to be what Bo Nix is going to need as well, to be that elevated, to be that top tier quarterback that he's been lacking a little bit this year.
I hope that answers your question, D-Rock.
If not, call me. And then I'll forward it over to Adon to see if he even answers my call, because he never does.
Yeah. Then Tim Dog saying, snow games are the best. I'll always remember Manning's last game when we beat Tom Brady.
That was the best ever. Let me tell you, like being able to see that, because like where my seats are at, I sit in the 5th level in the north stands, and CJ Anderson running the ball down the sideline, the Broncos sideline, and coming towards me, like, it's like, man, that's one of the greatest feelings that you ever see, because the day that game started, a nice cold day, no snow, nothing at all. But the way that the game progressed, and it kept on snowing and snow, and then it was a snow covered field. Those are the best out there. And being able to witness that, to be able to see that, let's say, even people seeing it on TV, like, it's one of the best things ever. And that's an element of the game that I don't want to lose. And hopefully that the way that they do the stadium is that they always keep the roof open, and then just close it for the Super Bowl or for concerts or whatever the case may be. But that's one thing that we're hoping for, when they already said retractable roof.
I've never actually been to a snow game, not even here in Chicago. So
you're missing out.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the seats at Soldier Field, especially the nosebleeds where I sit, are higher than the ones at Mile High, or if they're the exact same.
They're not.
I have no idea, but it's like it's already hard enough for me to walk up all those flights of stairs just to find my seat, and then have to get up when I need to use the bathroom or during halftime to go get another snack or something. So it's like I could.
The stadium itself, that was built in the early 1900s, because the aisles, just to get up to your seats, are really small. I'm surprised you even fit in it, because when I was there, I was like, damn, this is small. And then the seats are small as well. I think did you have to buy like 2-3 seats just so you can sit comfortably?
I wish I could have just lifted up the armrest, and because when I was there, the last time I was there for when the Broncos were here 2 years ago, there was a lady sitting next to me, and this lady, her thigh and my thigh were just touching constantly, especially when I got up to cheer and she got up to cheer. And there was one time that both of us got up to cheer, and it was a miracle that our freaking jeans or something didn't rub together and start a fire. They were just touching each other, and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't scoot anymore because I was already tied in, and I thought, her being a much skinnier person, that she would make herself move smaller, move to the left, but she was like, no, she didn't give a damn. So I was like, okay.
She wanted that 6'10".
Yes, maybe, I don't know, but all I remember was I was talking a lot of smack, because all the Bears fans around me were like, oh, yeah, the Bears are up. And, a lot of people thought I was from Denver. So, like, yeah, you should go back home to the airport, blah, blah, blah. And they sure as hell didn't want to hear me at the end of that game when the boys came back and won it.
Especially when you run out of bounds, when you should do some clock management.
Oh, man, but I'm probably going to watch the highlights of that again just for the simple fact that it was such a fantastic game, man. And just sticking it back to Justin Fields and the Bears. Oh, so beautiful.
So beautiful.
But in retrospect, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be important for the Broncos to kind of fix what's broken in terms of cleaning up the penalties, of course. We're really hoping to get PS2 back for the Commanders game. I think Singleton is going to be cleared. So it'll be good to see him out there. I will say, though, Libre, I don't know if it's a concern, but I will say it's kind of been kind of weird that we haven't heard Dre Greenlaw's name being mentioned in terms of, we hear Hufanga's name all the time because he comes in and he plays hard, but we haven't really heard anything from Greenlaw. So in terms of, like Greenlaw made a great tackle and Greenlaw stopped the run, and we haven't heard nothing. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
When they always say, doesn't matter if it's good news, bad news, you're always being spoken of. That's always any good news, or if you're being spoken, it's always good press. But I feel like here within playing wise, like football wise, if your name is not being mentioned, if you're not being there, you're flying under the radar. So when teams do come in, they're not really expecting that, or they're not putting a game plan to that, and then you get surprised. Yeah, his name will probably get mentioned here once or twice or whatever, but the way I like it is like he has been playing, he's been doing good while he's been in there and not being suspended or whatever. But while he's there, he's been playing good. He's there. We recognize it. We see it. But if the other national media and all the other people are out there are not wanting to mention his name or whatever, I like it, because keep him under the radar, because once it comes down to, say, playoff football and doing all that, then these guys are going to be like, wait a minute, where did he come from? He came out of nowhere. What's happening? And I like that part of it. Yeah, they're going to probably go, they're going to put a game plan together for a PS2 and not throw it his way. They're going to try to hopefully stay away from Tufanga, even though he's going to be all over the field and he's going to be wrecking havoc. Look like what we did with Javale. Two rushing, and he got 2 sacks on Patty Mahomes. So that's what I like about it. You don't know where we're coming from. We have the personnel now that we can go and rush from any type of position right now. Guess where it's going to happen? You don't know where it's going to come from, and it's going to be a green law. This next game it will be green law. It is going to be that way. I had somebody earlier on TikTok saying that Hufanga reminded them of Von Miller, where he's just all over the field and leading in tackles and whatnot. So yeah, I do say that as well. It's like if your name is not mentioned, especially here in the league, you're flying under the radar. And if you're still a good player like he is, that's just only a good thing for you.
The only other question I have for you, Libre, before we head to the OT segment, did you see Mrs. Kelsey at the game?
I did not allow her into the stadium. And the haters are going to hate. And I just shook it off.
They didn't show her on the Titantron, or because they didn't mention her one time.
I don't think she was there at all. And I know like a lot of people were there to hopefully get a glimpse of her, but she was not there.
Well, the only reason I ask is because when Kelsey made that touchdown, I thought he was talking to her. But then when the camera did the full pan around, he was actually taunting the Broncos fans, going like this. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, all right. And then redemption set in for him when he saw that field goal go in, and then you just saw his face. He was all, "Hey, karma is a fickle, you know what,
right?"
So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of regulation, which means that it's time for Libre and I to go into some overtime.
Overtime. Let's go.
I feel refreshed, Libre. Do you feel that? It's like the excitement just came in the room. Is it just me? Hey, where'd you go, man? You guys, you haven't seen.
We don't talk about that. Those pinchy bulls.
Hey, what's going on? Oh, you talking about my hat? Hey, man, listen. Johnny said that it was okay for me to talk about my Chicago Bulls. And this time we weren't there to see it in action. So he can't blame me for this one. But how about them Bulls, baby? Woo!
So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the Bulls logo. So take off your hat.
I can't. It's stuck on my head.
Look at the Bulls logo, but turn it upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the bull itself, it looks like it's a robot and a crab. That's all I'm going to leave it that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Bulls went into Denver and handed the Nuggets their first home loss. And this
So
was a
talking
team
about
Libre
Nuggets right now, the Nuggets are up at halftime with the New Orleans Pelicans, 62-58.
against who?
The Pelicans.
Oh, that's why. But and the Bulls were going into this game we had lost like 4 or 5 game losing streak because we had lost Giddey and like another big time player, and then they came back and won it. And I know Jay the Dream Weaver, he was expecting it, and I hit him with the picture. I'm surprised Johnny didn't kick me out of the Discord.
Have you tried logging in yet?
Not yet, but Mahai Medlock saying we were sitting in front of some cool Bulls fans, but y'all were hot from deep. And let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Hopefully the guys over at the Oukast podcast mention that tomorrow, because spin facts, man. Spin facts. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the overtime segment of today's show. If this is your first time here, this is where Libre let down our hair figuratively and talk about anything that's going on in our lives if we feel to do so. Normally during the off season, that's what we do, and we still do if Libre wants to add anything. But during the regular season, we will be going over our picks for.
Oh yeah, let's talk about our picks from last week.
You know what? Good night, everybody.
And with that, the show is over.
Yeah,
because Bronco Libre.
Chat, we are tied at 102. And we're only 100 more.
That's right. What was that again? Bronco Libre with 104.
Yes, Bronco Libre has 104 points, but 2 points. I'll catch up this week. Of course, as you guys know, there is no Broncos football this week, so it's a one boring week of football out of 18 weeks. What can you do? But we got a couple other games on the horizon, and this could be crucial, Libre, because now we don't have a guaranteed win on the playing field. So let's start out with the Thursday night game. We have the Buffalo Bills at 7-3 going on the road to face the Houston Texans at 5-5. Now that Texans defense is still playing tough, Libre, but they're still not having CJ Stroud in. And I got to tell you, Libre, I feel like something's rotten in Denmark. I feel like something's going on behind the scenes that they're not letting on, because he got concussed against Denver, like 2 weeks ago, and he still hasn't cleared. Is it 3 weeks?
Yeah. Houston. When was that? November 2nd. Yeah, so what, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, 3 weeks, and he still hasn't cleared concussion protocol. So I really do hope he's okay, and it's not something serious that he can't shake off from, like most people have been able to do so that were in the protocol. But Davis Mills will once again run the offense. I mean, if you saw Josh Allen last week, Libre, the man put the team on his back against the Buccaneers, and he threw for 3 touchdowns and he ran for 3. And he had a 40 burger in fantasy. So as tough as the Texans, I mean, this is going to be a really close game because, I mean, the Falcons made the Bills look silly a couple weeks ago. And I don't know if Davis Mills can go against that Bills defense and put up points before the Texans defense kind of gets tired of having to deal with Buffalo. But I'm going to give Buffalo the benefit of the doubt, and I say that Buffalo is going to win this game.
So I think when we're talking about head injuries, I think they're actually going in a route where they saw that they brought Tua back too early, and they don't want to have a same situation there with CJ because he is their future for them. Even though Mills has been playing pretty well for them during this time, why rush it at this point? So I'm okay, even though if he might be somewhat ready or whatever, I don't think they want to put him on the field as quickly as they want to. They want to let him rest, make sure that he's good to go, because they don't want a Tua situation where it could be his next one, could be his last game, and I don't think and I think they're thinking about that as well. But like you, I'm also going to go with the Bills.
Okay, and chat says Bills
Bills.
as well. ALC. All right, next we jump to Sunday games. No more international games. The Jets at 2-8 go on the road to face the Baltimore Ravens at 5-5. I got to tell you, Libre, even with Tyrod Taylor starting this game, it's the Jets literally walking into a buzzsaw in Baltimore. So I'm just gonna say Ravens.
I'm going to go Ravens as well. The Jets are done.
Yeah, they're looking at what, maybe the second, third round pick right now, and chat says Ravens as well. Okay. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-4 going on the road to face the Chicago Bears at 7-3. I would have been more confident to pick the Bears here, Libra, or the Steelers. I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers' hand, I don't think he's going to clear in playing time. So if it's Mason Rudolph, I think that the Bears play a whole lot tougher at home than they do on the road. So I think that Caleb Williams does just enough to squeak by and get a win. So I'm going to say Bears.
The Bears.
And chat says Bears.
Bears. Stop copying me. Oh, wait, you can copy me all you want because that means it's a 2-game lead.
Yeah. Next, we have the New England Patriots at 9-2 going on the road to face the Cincinnati Bengals at 3-7. Guys, we have to stop this whole notion about bringing Joe Burrow back. The Bengals are 3-7. They're really in shambles right now, to be honest with you. There is no reason, absolutely no reason why you should rush Joe Burrow out there, because you're just going to get him hurt again, and he's going to be delayed for the 2026 season. So, but even so, the Bengals defense is just one of the worst defenses in the league. I mean, they've given up so many points these last couple of games to all of these teams, whether it's on the road or at home. And the Patriots, they're riding the hot hand, man. Drake May is an MVP candidate currently, and Mike Vrabel is Coach of the Year candidate. They got a lot of good things going for them, so I don't see it stopping just because of them. So I have a feeling the Patriots are just going to steamroll those guys.
As much as I want the Patriots to lose so that they don't have the same record as the Broncos, but I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have no choice. Next, we have the New York Giants at 2-9 going on the road to face the Detroit Lions at 6-4. Now, I will say that this is redemption for the Lions because they got pretty much smacked this past Sunday against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. And the Giants, Jameis Winston came so close to upsetting Green Bay, but then the pumpkin turned back to a pumpkin at midnight, and Jameis Winston threw that gut-wrenching pick, and it was pretty much GG. I'm sorry. I just have a feeling that the Lions are going to take out their frustration on the Giants, and it's the Brian Dable-less Giants at that. So I don't know what this interim coach is going to do, but it's going to be a bad day at the office. So I'm going to say Lions win that game.
I'm going to go with your brother's team.
Chad says Lions. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings at 4-6 going up against the Green Bay Packers, who are 6-3 with one tie. I think we talked about this last week, Libre, but it looks like the Vikings are starting to regret letting Sam Darnold walk and not keeping him around and seeing what they had in J.J. McCarthy first. They took a gamble, threw McCarthy out there to the Wolves, hoping that he would find his way and be, the prospect and aspect in the future of the team. But it hasn't happened. He has not looked good these last couple of games. And that defense is just kind of being wasted on, to be honest with you. Same thing with the talent on the offense. You got Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, two really good wide receivers, and you're not doing anything with them. And it's a miracle that the Vikings weren't sellers before the deadline, to be honest with you. And the Packers have done just enough to win, kind of like the same aspect as the Broncos, but unfortunately they haven't been able to fully execute with that demeanor. And playing in Lambeau is pretty hard for visiting teams, especially if they don't play that often. And I just think that I just think I have a feeling that the Packers are going to take advantage of all the noobness that JJ McCarthy is throwing out there. So I'm going to say that the Packers win this game.
I'm going to go with the Packers as well.
Green Bay Packers, says the chat. Next, we have probably what I'm surprised is not the game of the week or Sunday Night Football, to be honest with you. The Indianapolis Colts at 8-2, going on the road to Arrowhead, coming off of their bye week against the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-5. Libre, I think that we broke Kansas City, and not just their momentum, but their spirit, their hopes. And the worst thing that they can do is take the Colts for granted because, Daniel Jones seems to have reverted back to Daniel Jones, but Jonathan Taylor still continues to be dangerous. And the Colts have one of the better offensive lines in the league. So, and to be honest with you, that front defensive line from Kansas City, they did not look like themselves, man. Chris Jones has regressed incredibly, and he is literally just wasting Kansas City's money. No, that's just an honest take, Libre. And the fact I'm surprised that neither Spagnuolo or Andy Reid have gotten into his head and say, "Hey, man, we're paying you a ton of money. We expect you to be and play better, be that wrecker that we're paying you to be, and not the guy who just literally stood there and watched his during that Jacksonville game when Trevor Lawrence just scrimmaged and pushed his way into the end zone." I think the Chiefs are going to get caught off guard here. I think they're going to get punched in the mouth one more time. And I have a feeling that Jonathan Taylor is going to run amok. So I'm going to say Colts win this game.
Like you were saying, I don't think they have a defense that's going to be able to stop Jonathan Taylor. He's going to rush for at least 2 touchdowns against these guys, and one of them is going to be a 60-plus yarder itself. I'm not saying that because he's on my fantasy team or anything like that, but that's what's going to end up happening.
So Colts all the way around. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks at 7-3, Libre, going on the road to face the Tennessee Titans, who are 1-9. Speaking of getting punched in the mouth, that's exactly what happened to Sam Darnold and the Seahawks this past weekend against the Rams. It was a very bad day at the office for them. And this is going to be one of those games where they just take out their frustrations on poor little old Tennessee. And Cam Ward is just he's got a couple more bad days at the office before he can go back to the drawing board and have the management kind of rebuild the team from scratch. So I'm just going to say Seattle.
Sea chickens it is.
Seahawks, says the chat. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 6-4, going on the road to face the Arizona Cardinals at 3-7. Jacoby Brissett is starting once again for the Arizona Cardinals, but hey, man, shout out to the Jacksonville for putting belt to ass on the LA Chargers last week.
Yep.
That win helped us incredibly. So Duval, shout out to Jacksonville out there. But when it comes to when you guys play the Broncos, it's down to it's only don't take it personal. It's business, but it's belt to ass on Trevor Lawrence that day. But in this one, I think Jacksonville's defense will do just enough to kind of limit Brissett. So I'm going to say that Jacksonville wins that game.
I agree. Jacksonville is playing at a good level right now. Arizona's still trying to find their way. They're not that good of a football team right now. So Jacksonville's a little bit better. They'll pull it out. Jags is up for the chat.
Next, we have the Cleveland Browns at 2-8, going on the road to face the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-8. So
the best thing about this game, well, yes, but did you also see that Shedeur Sanders is going to be starting this game?
Yeah.
Over Dylan Gabriel. So I feel like, and this is a whole, I don't know if a lot of people saw this or read into this during the draft this upcoming year, the way that Deion Sanders was saying that he was going to step in and he didn't want the Raiders to draft Shedeur and do all that. But how ironic that his first NFL start is going to be against the Raiders and whatnot. And I actually feel that the Raiders are the way that they are and I feel like the Browns are going to go into this game and they're going to win.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Shador is gonna do just enough to win it for the Browns. The Raiders, I mean, if you saw Monday Night Football, they just got the crap smacked out of them. They were bad on all three aspects of the ball: special teams, defense, and Geno Smith. I don't know if you saw that press conference, the highlights that he gave. That was one of the weirdest press conferences I've ever seen, Libre. You know, the man couldn't even, take blame for the fact that being the offense. He just basically kind of threw his hands in the air and he's like, well, whatever bad happens in your life, blame me. And it's like,
yeah,
what the hell are you talking about, dude? So, yeah, I'm going to say that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's like, it's there. You see an organization that's not ran that well, and now you're seeing it with their players and coming out of the press conferences themselves. So with that being said, like, even though their fan base are still thinking that they're a lot better than what they are, they're not, and they just need to start realizing it. And I think some of the players are now starting to realize that they're not there. Even Max Crosby, he was asked several different questions too, and like he's not happy. I think he kind of wishes he got traded at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and then we move on to the really big game here, Libre. The Philadelphia Eagles at 8-2, going on the road to face the Dallas Cowboys, who are 4-5-1 tie. This is a rematch from Week 1, obviously, because the Cowboys opened up the season, and they were lucky that they didn't have to face Jalen Carter in that game because that was when he spit on Dak Prescott, and then Jalen Carter was suspended for that game. And unfortunately, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be so lucky this time around. I will say that it was kind of nice to see Quinnen Williams out there, it was kind of weird too, seeing him on a different team that's not the blue and green or the white and green. But I don't even think that adding him and Logan Wilson is going to do anything to make the Cowboys any better. The defense for the Eagles has definitely gotten better, and it's making strides to be better since their Week 1 play. But they're going to have their hands full trying to guard George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. But I think that the Eagles are going to do just enough to win that and sweep the Cowboys. So I'm going to say Eagles.
Eagles as well.
The chat says
same with the chat.
Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons at 3-7, going on the road to face the New Orleans Saints at 2-8, who are coming out of their bye. It's really sad to see Michael Penix go down with a season-ending injury. Libre, my heart breaks for him.
It does suck. 2 years in a row for him, but stuff happens.
Yeah.
And but for me, I'm gonna go with the Dirty Birds.
Really? Well, I'm actually gonna go with the Saints here, Libre, because I don't have any faith in Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, he wasn't even able to beat when did he come in? Was it the Dolphins?
I can't remember.
He came in for somebody, and he was just not good. So I'm going to say that the Saints humble them, and chat agrees with me too.
Same with the chat.
So
thank you for letting me take another game lead on top of you guys.
Then we have Sunday Night Football here, Libre. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6-4 go on the road to face the LA Rams, who are 8-2 as well. Got to tell you, Libre, Matt Stafford is playing some MVP candidate football out there. And, they made that win against Seattle last week look pretty easy, even though they did struggle towards the end. But either before that even happened, I mean, they were able to do just enough to get the win. And the Bucks just don't look the same, Libre, without their big star players, without Bucky Irving and Mike Evans. And yes, they have what's his name?
Mbuka. That's my son's goat. The way
and Tez Johnson and all that. But the defense for the Bucks as well, they've been struggling to, limit the damage from the opposing team. I don't think that the Bucks, unfortunately, are going to be able to, the defense anyway, is going to be able to stop Matthew Stafford. And I have a feeling that the Bucks are going to play catch up for the longest. again, and this goes to what we were saying last week, Libre. I have a feeling that there's something going on with Bucky Irving that they're not letting on. Because Sean Tucker last week was running like a man possessed. And it's only a matter of time before Bucky does come back. But the real question is, when is he going to come back? And if he does, in what condition is he going to be? Because he's missed a whole lot of football, Libre, and it's going to take some time for his body to acclimate to, taking the hits and running and all that stuff when he does come back. But for this game, I'm going to say that the Rams win it.
I'm going to go with the Rams as well. I would say it'd be a lot closer game. Even though I like this game, this matchup is pretty good. I like that it's a Sunday night game. And if you say the game was in Tampa Bay, I can go with Tampa and say, hey, Tampa's going to win. But because it's in LA, I'm going to go with the Rams as well.
And then we have the Monday Night Football. Chat says Rams too. Then we have the Monday night game, which is the Carolina Panthers at 6-5, going on the road to face the San Francisco 49ers at 7-4. Hey, man, Brock Purdy came back last week, Libre, and he looked like he never missed a beat. The man was throwing missiles. George Kittle looked relevant again, and they made quick work of Arizona. Even though, which is kind of weird, Jacoby Brissett threw for over 400 yards. I think he set a franchise record, and that still wasn't enough to win the game. Carolina, on the other hand, Libre, I mean, they're just like this team that nobody can figure out. 1 week Bryce Young and Rico Dowdle and those guys are hot, and the next day they fold like a chair, and they're cold. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to get a read on them, to be honest with you. But I think that as good as Carolina can play, I think the 49ers are going to start to go on a bit of a roll here. And I have a feeling that they're going to steamroll the Panthers. So I'm going to pick the 49ers to win that.
I'm going to go with bang, bang, Niner gang.
And we're just waiting for chat's answer. 49ers or Panthers? What do you think Shy is going to say?
Shy is going to go with the 49ers.
No, I think he's going to go Panthers. Unless he logged off.
I'll have my cousin send me his picks as well, just so that we can go, because we've been really using his picks anyways.
Yeah. I mean, we go back and forth, but
it's true.
I'm surprised he's not here. I hope he's okay.
He might be working. That's the only reason why he wouldn't be on right now.
Oh. So does he go around pretending to be you, doing appearances and stuff?
Yeah. Didn't you see the show when he was here for the Raider game? Him and Beavis had masks on.
I couldn't tell him apart. Well, I hope Shai's okay. I hope he didn't leave. But if I had to guess, he'll probably say San Francisco. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our overtime segment today. Libre and I would like to say thank you to everybody that was in the chat today. Shai Vargas, Tim Dog, Mahai Medlock, who else was here? Michael Binger, the Bronco Beavis, T-Rock, Jeremy Martin, and I believe Christian Peter was probably in another chat and ended up here, but I could be wrong. But
I think so as well. Right? I know I did see that. I was like, I don't think that was for us.
Right. But ladies and gentlemen, before we head on out of here, we want to ask you if you could please one more time subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all the shows here on the network. If there's something you guys heard us say that you agree or don't agree with, please feel free to hit up that comment section. Let us know what your thoughts are, and we will reply back to you ASAP. For those of you listening to us on audio, please, 5-star reviews are as well appreciated. If you want a screenshot and send us that review, you're more than welcome to. You can hit us up on our socials. Our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom of the screen. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. For all business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Shout out to W for being a sponsor of this show. Once again, if you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off at checkout. Once again, shout out to W and all of the guys over at the Nothing's Wrong with Podcast for hooking us up with that amazing offer. We have a comment, Libre. Oh, it's Jay Weaver.
Oh,
hey, Jay.
Weaver! What's happening?
Tell John.
Jay, I think we need to get him. Let's go.
Just a quick reminder for you guys, we will not be on the air next week. We will be taking next week off for the holiday for both Broncos Talk and Viva Los Broncos. For this week, unfortunately, as you guys heard earlier, Bronco Libre will not be able to make it again on Friday. It will be just me sitting there talking about everything that you guys heard just now, but in Spanish, I'm sorry. So hopefully you'll be able to bear with me and hear me rant and rave. And I can't promise I won't curse. I think I curse a lot more in Spanish than I do in English because Johnny hasn't said anything yet. But please keep that in mind. And don't freak out if you don't see us go live next week. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever it is. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Remember, it's not about what's on the table. It's about the people around it to share it with.
Si, senor.
Just quickly, Libre, do you guys eat turkey at your house?
Yes, we do. And tamales and frijoles and chile verde.
We don't. We don't do the whole turkey thing. We just usually have like a nice fancy Mexican meal, something we haven't had in a while. I think this year we're having pambazos, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice. No, yeah, we normally do a turkey here. And then we do like the normal green bean casserole, do all that. Happy Turkey Day.
Happy Turkey Day.
Hey, you do that well, Turkey.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, he's Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz, and this has been Broncos Talk on the Orange and Blue Network, and we will see you all next time. And as always, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go!
See you guys in a week. No.
Two.
Hang on, let me try
again.
See you guys in 2 weeks.
Viva los Broncos, juntos vamos a ganar. Esta pasión de verdad, nadie la puede parar. En este podcast, la familia en unión. Broncos y su gente, llénate corazón.